Let's take a break here on the Rise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages. We'll start with our sister publication this day. Let's see what this day is saying. This day says 2023 Tinubu absent as Atiku, Obi, Kwankwaso, others sign peace accord. He has some riders there. Says Buhari, party should avoid insult and incitement. EU Jonathan, police IG, sue for credible poll. Right, let's look at some other stories. Buhari to judges be impartial, arbiters in election masses, and just above the nameplate of this day, Adamu denies writing to Tinubu as APC expands council to more than 2,000 membership. And then just at the topmost, World Bank approves $750 million to strengthen business enabling environment in states.
The Punch newspaper this morning, leading headline, APC presidential campaign, Tinubu to pacify Adamu, and governors with 2,000 appointments. Party disowns leaked letter, denies one-man show allegation against the candidate. Just below that, those three leading photos. At the signing of the peace pact yesterday, Tinubu absent as Atiku and others signed that peace pact. Buhari demands non-violent polls. Some more headlines. Adeleke wins at Supreme Court. Hometown PDP celebrate. 3 EFCC lawyers, 59 others make essay and list. And just above the nameplate of the Punch this morning, PDP NWC members write IU, that's the chairman, reject housing allowance.
The Nation newspaper. Scandal rocks PDP and WC as members return 122.4 million naira. We'll be going over those letters, some of them millions for rent. 62 lawyers are now senior advocates of Nigeria. Developing countries facing currency depreciation. And no rift over APC campaign council. That's according to the party spokesman. And Buhari Abdul Salami worried over spread of fake news in the run-up to the general election next year.
Let's look at this Daily Sun. Amid Buhari's caution, presidential candidates sign peace accord. Shetima Stanton for Tinubu placed Nigeria above regional sectional interest. That's the president. And 2023, I'll remove structures retarding Nigeria's progress. That's coming from Obi. APC withdrawal of letter to Tinubu tears NWC apart, and then PDP crisis takes new twist as 4 NWC members refund 122.4 million naira allegedly given to them by IU. And INEC threatens parties with fresh sanctions over hate speech campaign funding.
The Guardian Nigeria this morning. Comply with peace accord. Buhari, Abubakar, Jonathan tell candidates. FX scarcity in the Naira as an article of financial speculation. Read the big story on pages 4 and 5. Meanwhile, ASU says there's nothing to celebrate in Nigeria at 62.
The international papers, the Financial Times, Liz Truss faces growing Tory dissent as Labour lead hits widest since 1990s. Bank of England pressed to defuse pension funds time bomb after £65 billion rescue move.
Right, the I paper, Tories fear wipe out after 3 weeks of Truss as Prime Minister.
Well, for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us from our offsite studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at this day, speaking about the peace pact that the presidential candidates signed yesterday. At that event, President Buhari and former President Jonathan were speaking on fake news, misinformation, and how that has tainted the campaign and political season that we've seen going on. And they also want the candidates to stay away from that and focus on issue-based campaign. He also went on to say that this peace accord and peace pact signing was what helped the 2015 election to be free and fair and non-violent. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, yes, it's true. Fake news is going to be like, well, the official weapon of the 2023 election. So the earlier everybody is warned about fake news, the better. In fact, Abdulsalam saying that, almost jokingly saying that one of the fake news already even gave the election already to one of the candidates, saying that he's leading and he's going to win. I don't know who is trying to throw that but seriously speaking, he was not mincing word. The former head of state, Absalami Abubakar, saying that, look, fake news is going to be a central point in all of this, because at the end of it, those peace accords won't mean anything. It will just be paper if real actions are not taken by the participants, and that's mostly the leaders of the people who were there signing peace agreement. We've seen those things in the past, and I think those accords have their place in our history now, because yes, just like President Buhari noted, it was because of the real serious hard work of the Kuka Salami-led body that 2015 went smoothly, especially with what the big example that President Jonathan led back then, when he just conceded, just even before the counts were over. It was a beautiful piece in our democracy, a moment of our democracy. I want to say a repeat to that. Those who are afraid for these elections are worried that some people will not, agree that they've lost because of the bitterness involved, and even the big, deep issues involved in this election. I think that's why President Buhari said that it is not an ordinary election, that it's an election that we change the way things are done. In fact, former President Obasanjo also said that this is not your everyday kind of election. It is an election that will make or man Nigeria. It is in the midst of all of that rhetoric that this peace signing of agreement by the participants become very important. The absence of Tinubu at the event, the APC flag bearer, almost took away from the huge messages that came out of it. But it's a good thing that papers are capturing that too, and saying, and looking at what INEC has to say, former presidents have to say, the leaders, Father Kuka, say, those things are very, very important. They are part and parcel of the effort to have some peaceful transition, one that losers will be able to make that call on the eve of the morning after the election, make that call and call the winner and say, well, we are conceding, and congratulations. If that happens again, then we will have had smooth transition back to back from 2015.
The Punch newspaper manual, APC presidential campaign, Tinubu to pacify Adamu governors with 2,000 appointments. Of course, we've heard of some rumors of both of them going back and forth. Emmanuel, 2,000 people in a presidential campaign council, just enough or too little, or should we expand it?
Well, I kind of the big issue too is not just those numbers, is the story itself, the backstory. The fact that yesterday Adamu came out. There was a letter that leaked, and the party coming out to say, look, no, there was no such letters. There were two great deniers yesterday. PDP also had its own leaked letters and the denials. So yesterday we saw a situation where both parties were doing a lot of damage control, first to hide some of the internal discrepancy or contradictions going on internally in the party. For the APC, it is the PCC, the Presidential Campaign Council, and those numbers, because the letter that leaked said that Adamu was really, really vexed by the non-inclusion of certain people. The letter, of course, the party came out later to say that there were no such letters, and that it was. There are no troubles, but an admission like this by Tinubu himself, the flag bearer, that, look, okay, I'm going to expand the base of the campaign, shows that yes, there's been troubles around the composition of the presidential council, and now they are going to be up to 2,000. The more the merrier, maybe, but too many cooks, they say, spoil the broth. It was just a 400 or so, close to 500 member thing, but now it's going to 2,000. With that clutter up there, campaign, will that help the campaign? Whatever it does, certainly it's going to probably answer for some of the things that, some of those agitation that Adamu was said to have raised, which is the non-inclusion of certain people. If you expand the base of the campaign, of course you can bring in as many people as you want. Maybe that will solve the problem or give rise to more problem. We'll watch to see how that pans out.
All right, still in the same punch. Reps raise alarm over possible Ebola outbreak. LG makes fresh offer. ASU insist on UTAS. And then 3 EFCC lawyers, 59 others make the SAN list.
In the great stories, all of them, and with different interest, and those who want to read them. But of course, the Ebola story is scary. I mean, especially when the other day we were talking of monkeypox. So it's a good thing that in the midst of all the presidential election and all the noise around politics, which seem to be the biggest stories now on the pages of newspaper, that someone somewhere is also still thinking of health issues, and that's very interesting. And then, of course, the fact that some lawyers have made it to sanship. Yesterday, in my own state, we have some of those sons also jotting up, and it's a very interesting thing when they get to those points. So these are very those stories are very interesting on the pages of the Punch newspaper.
Emmanuel, you didn't really go into details of this story making the headline on the nation's newspaper. Scandal rocks the PDP as WC members. Some of the members return a total of 122.4 million naira, which was paid into their account from the party's account for some sort of housing allowance. Now, there are two sides to this story. Those people who are making this return seem to be on the aggrieved camp of Governor Wike, who has been calling for the removal of the party chairman, Iyorchia Ayu. And also the PDP has come out to say, no, this is not any sort of bribe. It's a duly legitimate release of rent housing allowance for these NWC members. Now, I don't think that explanation really helps them, because if this is a normal release of payments to NWC members, then how many people are getting 28.8 million naira, 36 million naira for 2 years rent?
Nkechi, is even deeper than that. It's the fact that, you know, again, I mean, on the eve of this very monumental election, PDP is, you know, saddled with this crisis. Remember that PDP, for the APC, PDP is the party that institutionalized corruption, and they always go back to those 16 years and say, look, it's a party that is corrupt, and APC has really taken a lot of swipe at the PDP over its profile. Of course, a lot of people got tired of those kind of complaints by the APC that, look, okay, you have got your game now, and that there are people who say that APC too has not helped in stemming the tide of corruption. But this internal thing about the 10 billion naira that Ayu was said to have, you know, to have misappropriated, and the fact that some people were bribed and now they are returning those money, you know, just make it really more murky for the PDP to defend its records, and then to, of course, present itself as a party that will be able to deal with the crisis of corruption. The APC too has a lot to answer to Nigerians over that. But then this is coming from the internal structure of the party. Of course, PDP has come out to say those are just monies paid to people. And in Nkechi, like you raised, I mean, 28 million for rent. What kind of houses, and what in the midst of the staggering statistic of poverty in this country, you have, you know, party leaders who are sharing this amazing amount of money. It just smells of sleaze all through, and the PDP will have to grapple with that. Of course, it's come out to say, look, it's not bribe money. Nobody is bribed. And like you noted, Nkechi, Wike too is behind all of that, because these are his people, and who knows, he could have asked them to return this money to embarrass the party. But whatever it is, the details are already there, and it's out in the open that monies, you know, change. And you need to see the letters, the way those people wrote the letters. They say, look, no, in all good conscience, we cannot accept these monies. We saw alerts and we are returning them. It's bound to raise a lot of credibility you know, issues with the party. So yesterday there were more denials from the PDP, the APC to denying that a letter leaked. And so we saw these two parties yesterday grappling with the issue of leaked letters and denials. I'm sure the OB camp will really, or the other camps too, will look at these two big parties and say, well, that's why Nigerians need to vote out those parties and bring in something new. But the parties, of course, yesterday weighing on strongly and denying. APC did their denials, PDP did their denials too.
Thank you for your take this morning, Emmanuel. That's the press preview. And you can have your say. Join us on Twitter. Follow us at Arise TV. And you can tweet with the hashtag Arise Daybreak.